What is up? It's Hobbyist First. My game club recently commissioned an entire table's worth of jungle temple terrain. Let's check it out. While the jungle structures were completed in 3 phases by the artist, I did have some existing jungle terrain that I used to fill out the table, and this is pretty basic stuff. These are some aquarium plants hot glued to plastic bases, and those live on MDF shapes representing the different forests. I'm using 3 of these forest templates and tree clumps on the table right now, and you see there's a variety of different plastic plants. Some add a little pop of color, and mixed in are a couple of these very old, out of print, armor cast alien plants. So we got some pod and a larger pod, and some little pods and a stone. This phase of the project was about creating some scatter terrain and small structures, and I asked the designer to make something that would be suitable for a small game of Mordheim, but within the aesthetic of the jungle temple ruins. And what he came up with were some scatter terrain collapsed and half buried pillars, and these are pink insulation foam mounted on small plywood. There's another small collapsed column. Here's one with some more vertical bits mounted on that plywood. And then there's this group of 3 small ruins, small buildings. And I requested, places for cover for small squads or individual models to hide and climb over. This piece is basically some blocks and chunks on a tile floor, and there are a couple jungle plants growing out of the ruins. This next largest one has 2 floors and some vines hanging from it. It's got exposed area here with a block crossing it. And the largest of the 3 is a 3-story ruin with some cool platforms and places for models to climb up. Also includes some of those black vines, so a climbing rope. And the last part of this set were a couple of resin printed ladders. You can see some dry brushing and contrast paint to get them up to our tabletop standard. This next part of the jungle terrain set is about this temple ruin with a removable spawning pool or portal, and I'll pull that out in a moment to show you. The key features on this thing are these steps that lead up to the pool and the inner chamber here. You see there are LED lights, green LEDs in there to illuminate the pond or the spawning pool. It's got these cool archways on the side, and in gameplay it's fun to have individual skirmishing models or small units running across and fighting on the top of this surface. Also, you start to see some of the 3D printed skull elements that will also appear in the larger terrain piece that I'll show you at the end. Show you the back of the temple. Some more of those vines and green plants growing out of it. And this part here is removable and can be played on its own. This is a clear surface, so that can be played just on the table as a separate terrain feature. And if you turn the LEDs off inside, then you have just a normal open cave or chamber in there. Room for models to fight and hide. Here's the main part of the entire terrain set. This is like a ziggurat, or the main temple platform, and is built entirely out of hot wire cut pink insulation foam. It's got a main structure and a bunch of removable elements, and I'll show you what some of those elements are. We've got some stairs. You can see here, pink foam. There are 2 sets of stairs that are optional, lead up to the temple. I suppose they could even be used as separate pieces of terrain, if not being played with the entire set. And it comes with 10 of these columns. The artist kindly weighted the bottom of the columns, so each one of these, the bottom's finished, so they can be played as scattered terrain laying on their sides, but within the bases of them are embedded metal washers, so if they are knocked during a game, they will settle back and be less likely to tip over and knock over minis. So that was a really nice design feature by the artist. The 10 of these, there's a mix of some broken ones. You can see here, we got the broken ones in the front row, and then we have some damaged but intact larger columns in the back. Just like with the stairs, could be reassembled into some type of bridge. These columns, all 10 of them by themselves, would really enhance a table. You'd spread them out and they could represent some type of temple complex, or they could be laid down as wall terrain. But the main show is the large temple, and I'll take you around, show you some of these 3D printed elements, which are a bunch of skulls on the front. And you can see every one of the stone blocks is distressed, chipped, textured, and there's some rubble to enhance the look of that surface. Although I did ask the artist to keep the surface relatively flat, so that when we play using Warhammer Fantasy troops on movement trays, that the trays would be able to fit. The original purpose for this terrain was for a large Warhammer Fantasy game. This was occupied by lizardmen. You see up to the top, this upper surface. Even by itself, it's an impressive piece, but the columns add a lot of life to the build. As part of the commission project, I asked the artist to finish the back of this piece, and all I really meant there was to not leave it as exposed pink foam in case our club ever decided to use the piece in the middle of a table. Did we have a finished looking back? And rather than just continue the blocks and the painting of the blocks, he decided to create this door in the back surrounded in skulls. And these are all resin printed skulls of different type and different shape and size, and included these big doors with these LED lights glowing out of the eyes. And I know in a lot of the games, the back of this thing may not be visible because it might be up against a wall, or hopefully people get to see it on a board edge, but this is a beautiful use of resin printing, and even the colors that he used I think are totally awesome. And you see he carved his name into the back. The artist signed his work. And this is us using this jungle terrain for a game of Star Wars Legion, and the immersion into the battle zone with the beautiful terrain, the jungle trees. It's just an awesome experience to play on a battlescape like this. And you could see the models perched on top of the terrain here, climbing over the ruins. The terrain lends itself really well to the skirmish style game. And this is the terrain in its primary use, which was for this mega battle involving lizard men defending the ziggurat as a sacred temple site, and they were being attacked by chaos. And you could see that this 6-inch depth on the steps of the ziggurat allowed for entire regiments of troops to defend it. And then here's a picture of Dan's Lizardmen army on display. And this shows how you could use this main terrain piece as an army display board for something like a tournament or painting competition, such as Armies on Parade. All the temple structures were made by Mike Bailey, and he's an artist with over 20 years of experience building models and illustrating, and Mike is just a great guy to work with. He's top-notch craftsmanship. He's a great communicator throughout the projects. And if you're interested in hiring him for commission work, I will put links to reach him in the description. So thank you for watching, and take care.